Welcome to Ms. Taylor's class notes, and today we're going to be graphing systems of equations. So when we talk about systems of equations, we're talking about two lines. And when we were looking for our solution to two lines, our solutions are where the lines cross. So we've got a couple of different types of solutions, and we're going to kind of go over them and what they look like. So if we have two lines that intersect, they are always going to intersect at one point, so we're going to have one solution. If our lines are parallel, what we know from last unit is that parallel lines never cross. And so if they never cross, they're going to have no solution. And then occasionally, when we graph lines, we're going to end up with lines that are actually the exact same line. And so if they're the exact same line, they have the same slope, they have the same y-intercept, same everything, it's going to be infinite solutions. So now let's start graphing some lines and let's see if we can find our solution. So I'm going to graph this first one in green. And remember, if it's y equals mx plus b, our m is the number in front of x. So our number in front of x is our invisible 1, and we turn it into a fraction by putting 1 over 1. So we're going to go 1 up and 1 to the right. Our b, or our y-intercept, is going to be -8. So I'm going to graph my -8 first. I'm going to go up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. And normally at this point, I'm going to draw a straight line using my 3 points, but I'm really bad at drawing straight lines on my iPads, so I'm just going to draw all of the dots, which is go away, which is going to make it easier. Why? Which is going to make it easier to find my solution. And once I have all the dots drawn, then I'm going to try and draw a line that's nowhere near straight. So now I'm going to draw my next one. So again, my slope is -2. I turn the -2 into a fraction by putting it over 1. And then my b is a +1. If it's -2, I'm going to go down and to the right. So I'm going to start at my +1, down 2, right 1, 2, right 1. Again, and I'm just drawing all the dots because on my iPad it's very, very hard for me to draw a straight line. And when we do systems of equations, we have to be able to draw straight lines. So the point where they intersect, or the point where they meet, is right there. And if I trace this back to the x-axis, my x value is 3, my y value is -5. So 3, -5 is our solution. We always write our solution as x, y. So again, our slope is 1/2. That's going to be 1 up and then 2 to the right. And then our b, or our y-intercept, is 9. Up 1, 2 right. And then we need to graph our next one. Again, our invisible number in front of x is 1, so m is a -1 over 1, so it's going to be down and to the right, and our b is 6. So down 1 right. So our solution is where they meet, and they meet at that point right there. I'm going to trace it down to the y-axis, or the x-axis, and then the y-axis. So our solution is -2, 8. And again, it's always x, y, and we always write it as a point. All right, I want you to graph this one right here, and I want you to check it with the completed class notes. All right, so now I'm going to graph these two right here. So my slope is a -1/2, so I'm going to go down 1, right 2, and then my b is 2. Down 1, right 2, down 1, right. And then our next one, our slope is a negative 1/2. So we're going to go down 1, right 2. And our y-intercept is 4. And so if we'll notice, these lines do not touch. These lines are not going to cross because these lines both have the same slope. And because they both have the same slope, we know that they are parallel lines. And we know that parallel lines have no solution. All right, and then finally, we're going to go real quickly over 2 special case lines. So I'm going to graph the first one. Our m is 1/1. Our b is 5. So I'm going to start at 5. I'm going to go up 1/1. And then if we notice, our next line is x equals, and there's no line. So if it's x equals and there's no line, we know it's a vux. We know it's going to be a vertical line going up and down. So I'm going to find where x is -2, and then I'm going to go up and down. So where our 2 lines meet is right there. So our solution is -2 on the x-axis and 3 on the y-axis. All right, same thing here. We have y equals, but there is no x, so that automatically tells me that it's a Hoy line, and I know Hoy lines go side to side, so I'm going to find -7 on the y-axis. Then I'm going to go right and then left. And when we graph this one, my slope is a -1/3. Our b is a -5. So I'm going to go down 1, right 3, down 1, right 3. And so our line is right about there. So that makes this right here our solution. On the x-axis, if we trace it all the way up, it is 6. And on the y-axis, it is -7. And so that is how we find the solution when we graph systems of equations.